Oh, thank you so much. So we're at the restaurant.
Oh my God!
Sorry.
Good to see you. You too. You getting ready? Where's everybody at? Where's the crew at?
I know, we were waiting for the camera.
Well, look, we're here now. We're excited. We're excited for our special guest here. This is Lunch with a Top Producer, episode number 22. And we're excited to bring a lot of great energy with you. And my co-host here today is
Monica Rivera from Keller Williams Southeast Los Angeles.
And we have our amazing special guest,
Sergio Angulo with Century 21 Realty Masters.
You ready to drop some knowledge?
So we're really excited to be here today with Sergio. And as we get started, someone know we had some great nuggets that came out of the conversation when we were waiting at the restaurant. So I have some questions for that. But why don't we get started with what got you passionate about getting into real estate?
Well, for me, really, it was I guess I graduated from college and I didn't really know what to do. I was either going to go into the corporate world or, I was going to start my own business. I've always been an entrepreneur. I was the kid selling candy in high school, and so I've always been into business, and I just wanted to help people, and I thought about, what can I do that would make the biggest impact, right, on someone's life, and real estate came naturally to me. My aunt was in real estate, my parents own a large portfolio of rental property, and so I started managing their property, and that's what got me into the business.
That's really cool.
Now, let me ask you this, coming into real estate is not easy. What are some of the challenges that you first faced getting into the business, even though that you had your family that owned real estate, but they weren't really selling retail real estate? What was those challenges that you had to overcome coming into the industry?
Well, a lot of them. So I started when COVID. So I've been in the business a little bit under 4 years, right? And right when I started, closed my first transaction 3 months in. And then another 3 months passed, and COVID started, right? And so, I've been in the business 6 months, and then we just get hit with, no open houses, no showings, no nothing, and you have to wear gloves and everything. And so, it was a very interesting market to start in, and I quickly got creative. I was pretty much forced to create systems to manage all the crazy. Who remembers PEDS? Remember PEDS?
Yeah.
Good Lord. So
you guys know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So I really quickly had to create an infrastructure and learn and really put the hours in. And so that was probably the biggest challenge. Starting off in a market that was so different than what all my peers around me were accustomed to, right? And then I would say the second thing was probably mindset. I really had, in all honesty, a negative outlook on your typical real estate agent, right? I thought a real estate agent, before I got into the business was had this idea that they were just like a salesy person, right? And so my mindset really came into play because I had to really almost unlearn that from myself, right? And I had to realize, no, there's more to this business than just sales. It's meeting people, creating relationships, helping people, helping families, right? Ultimately. Yeah, so I had to do some reprogramming, and that was probably the biggest thing for me.
I think it also sped up a lot of the newer agents to have to get at a next level of skill set to be able to overcome a lot of the stuff that we faced during that COVID market. So I commend you for making it, bro. You earned your stripes. Earned your first stripes.
I know.
I think it also gives you a little bit of a competitive advantage, right? And I say that because we look at a market that was instantly so different, and for you had to unlearn some of the perspective that maybe you had, but what you didn't have to unlearn was how operations go, right? In a business like that, because you're coming into a market and you don't know anything else. And I think it was interesting. We said that in the restaurant that you were like, you remember booties? I thought that was part of this business, that we're going to do that forever, and it's not. You said that you had to create some systems in your business, especially during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Talk to us a little bit about that. What were some of the systems that you built out for your business?
Yeah, so I started off by just helping a referral client, right? Mm-hmm. And so my first client, I had one client, 3 months, one client, high school friend, got them into escrow. Very difficult transaction. FHA buyer. It was a tough one. We got it closed, and I learned a lot, right?
Yeah.
And then my next step was like, okay, I have this commission check. What am I going to do with this money? Okay, well, I went and bought some signs. I'm going to start doing open houses, right?
Investing back in the business.
Investing back in the business. So I'm going to start doing open houses. And I'm with Michael Burdellis out at 24 Hour Real Estate. And, they're giving us open houses to do. And then 3 months later, boom, COVID happens, right? So just to set the scene, right? My business completely changed to being online. So I started purchasing online leads, started getting really buyer focused, right? We couldn't door knock, we couldn't really do too much. So it was all online leads, and I essentially just overwhelmed myself with online leads. And so I had to create systems around that, right? And some of those systems, with my CRM, making sure that we were managing leads correctly, creating a system to intake buyers, right? Have buyer consultations, and then from there, transaction. So in a very short amount of time, I built all that out to be able to manage the overwhelming amount of online leads. At the time, there wasn't a lot of people buying online leads, and the cost per lead was really low. So I was, with very little money, able to eat up a lot of the market share. And then luckily, I just got lucky when everybody tried to pivot to get into that, the cost per lead went up dramatically.
What was one of those top online lead generating systems?
Okay, so at the time it was Zillow. And Zillow in 2019 was completely different from Zillow in 2022.
Yes.
Or even
Zillow Flex.
Yeah, so like Zillow was super just, I think cost per lead was like down to like $50 or something like that. But I mean, it skyrocketed, right? It's like now at $350. And so it's one of those things where, I really, I was able to kind of eat up that market share, and then from there, create that system, and that I've had to pivot a couple times over the years. We're doing like Google Leads and Ylopo, Sync Leads.
It's powerful.
Yeah,
that's powerful.
Yes.
You kind of spread out with the different aggregators and fluctuate from your initial kind of fixed costs versus also having some of the success fees on the back end.
Exactly.
Smart.
So systems is an acronym, right? Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
I
did not.
The members have already heard this before, but it stands for save yourself some time, energy, money, and stress. So the fact that you did that and you implemented that, I'm pretty sure it'll be more efficient now because of those systems, right?
Totally. It actually it allowed me to really grow right quickly, right? So I don't even consider myself a top producer, right? I mean, I'm still just a newbie agent, right? I really do feel that way, and I try to keep that as much as possible because it keeps me kind of keeps me going. It keeps me wanting to learn new things and learn new processes and systems, and so I am a systems person. That's really where I lean into, and that's what has allowed me to really grow. I really built out my CRM. So my CRM, started off with like 300 people in it. It's up to 20,000 right now, and so we are now just in the last probably 6 months have started seeing some of the new residual kind of clients coming out of that. So from that investment of building that out,
What CRM are you using, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so Follow Boss. Yeah.
I hear that one's really good.
It's a really good CRM. It's actually a lot of people say this. I don't know if you heard this before, but they say like, oh, it's not what CRM you use. It's the one that you actually use, right? Yeah. It's the one that works for you. And I really don't believe in that because I've looked into all the CRMs that are out there for realtors, and I really do think, and I'm not paid by Follow Boss or anything like that, but I really do. Yeah, I'm not an affiliate. Okay? Yeah, I know.
Free marketing there.
Give me a little feel here, you guys know. But I really think Follow Boss is it's focused solely on realtors, right? So it doesn't incorporate any other industry. But on top of that, it's the first CRM to allow third-party integrations, and that's really a game changer. Their main focus and kind of their motto is to be the best CRM for realtors. They're not trying to focus on, selling you leads. They're not trying to focus on selling you other products, right? They're just focused on creating a system for realtors to follow up with clients. and then on top of that, they're allowing third parties to come in and integrate with it, which has really been a game changer for us. Big time, yeah.
One thing that I will know, so I think we all like to get into the meat of what some of these systems look like, right? So there's a couple things that he's already talked about. You talked about kind of getting those Zillow leads in at top of funnel. You talked about Ylopo and kind of some of these different aggregators that you're partnering with. So we like to let out the secrets here, right?
I'm all in.
That's top of funnel. Lead comes in, goes into Follow Up Boss. So I'm guessing you have some integrations there, so it's feeding into Follow Up Boss. Walk us through that conversion process.
Yeah. So it's a pretty big one. Get ready. Okay, so
take notes. If you haven't started taking notes yet,
I don't think it's caught that, but he's saying build on a CRM initially. That's the key, right?
Yeah.
First you have to build out that CRM with the drip campaigns and the tags and everything else.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things is, I will say, like, for fun, I enjoy that part, right? So, like, I literally, on a Saturday night, I'm, like, on YouTube, like, looking at different, new companies that are coming out. I do a lot of the beta testing for some of these companies. So, like, they'll reach out to me to try to beta test some of their new products. So I'm really I try to stay at kind of the front of it. I know a lot of the CEOs of a lot of these companies. So to answer your question, essentially lead comes in top of funnel, right?
Yep. And
from there we have a 52-step touch system, right? That gets the action plan that gets started. Right, it involves a lot of different integrations, right, with other companies. But in short, the lead comes in, they get a call within 5 minutes, right? That call, 50% of the times it's me. The other 50% of the time it's a virtual assistant out of Venezuela. Okay,
that's great.
Yeah, and so we call that lead 3 times. If the lead doesn't answer, 3 times after that, right? So within a 3-day period, we call them every day. If they don't answer, they get text messages also. So that also counts as a touch. They get a text message from the CRM every time that we call, following up, trying to make that contact. Simultaneously, we have them on another system that's integrated with FollowBoss that I have an assistant in Argentina start them on, which is called Call Action. Okay? That Call Action plan goes for 6 months, and it uses data points from the CRM, right? And it has a bunch of merge fields, and it sends them text messages like once every week, once every other week, but it references, when they inquired, the city that they inquired on.
It's kind of like an AI communication.
I would say with an ISA.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of an ISA, yeah. And so it starts them on this action plan, drip campaign essentially through text from a separate phone number. And then from that goes on for a couple months, and then we also go to we have an AI bot, right? So that if the AI bot reaches out to them, and then if they start communicating, then it pauses everything and sends them back to the ISA, right? Simultaneously, from the very beginning, we also have a drip emails that go out. Okay, so the drip emails send them like 7 tips throughout like a month-long period of time, 7 daily tips on the buying process, and that's all branded with our branding. And then we do 1 weekly email to the whole 22,000 contacts in the database. And after the 3 phone calls, so I'm jumping around, but after the 3 phone calls that are done with me, then we send it to another ISA that goes 20 calls across a 60-day period, every 3 days. And then after that, if they haven't made any contact, we cut them off.
So I'm going to note, if you did not take notes during that, you need to click pause, rewind. And listen to it again, right? Because that's powerful. We think about this concept of the fortune is in the follow-up, right? We say that a lot in the business, and I think that when we look at this idea of online leads, don't get me wrong, even hearing that, if you're new to the business, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. Sergio's been in the business how many years? Say it again.
A little bit under 4.
A little bit under 4
years and 9 months.
Right, and has built out a extremely powerful conversion process. That's powerful.
He's built out a business, right?
Yeah.
It's a system. It's a business, something that you can leverage yourself with, right? So now you're touching 20,000 people when people are barely hitting 20 people per week.
Yeah.
You're touching 20,000
And
individuals.
I think the most
That's the
important.
power of systems and technology right now.
Yeah, totally. And I think the most important thing to recognize is I'm only involved in those 3 calls. So, but I will say in the beginning, my touches were 18 from the very beginning, and I did do all 18, right? And so I was doing everything manually, and then I just little by little started building off on that.
That's huge.
Another, just something that else that came up, we're also doing, so Follow Boss does third-party integrations, right? And they now partnered up with a company called Likely AI.
Yep, I'm familiar with Likely AI.
They're super cool. Essentially, they're a skip tracer, right? So they skip trace within Follow Boss. So a couple clicks of a button that you could have an admin person, do that. We pick up their mailing address. We pick up if they own a property, if the property is in distress. We get all of these data points, and then that is also another touch that we're doing. We're sending out, we get a Zillow lead. We get their name, phone number, email, maybe, and then this third party tries to find their address, and we send them a mailer branding us, and that's another touch. So now they're getting something in the mail that looks like it's going out to their neighborhood, but it's really just going out to them.
So it's targeted.
Very targeted.
Targeted marketing.
As well as, Pixel that's integrated with Follow Boss too. Yeah, so there's a lot.
A little bit of everything. A little bit of everything
He's dropping
there.
something like this, and we had other people that have these systems built out, and take action, guys, because 80% of you that are listening to this video are never gonna do it, which is crazy to me. You got somebody that's being successful, that's showing you that these things work, and these are systems that you can implement in your business, and 80% of the people don't go out there and implement them, which is crazy. And shout out to the Greater DR, because they're bringing this knowledge and they're allowing our members, a good member, Sergio doesn't have to tell you this. This could keep this secret, because he's balling out with it right now,
We're picking the brain. We're picking his brain.
I will say though, I talked to a lot of agents, and I think that's what works for me, right? Like I've only door knocked twice in my whole life. I've done maybe 10 open houses my whole career. And so I'm very heavy buyer's agent, right? Starting to, go more towards listings, but I think it's what works for me, and it's what's helped me get to kind of where I'm headed and helping me reach my goals. So I think it comes down to everybody, what is it that you like to do? I personally don't like to door knock. I don't like to go to do it. Yeah, I don't like to go back to it. But I know some agents that love it, right? Yeah. And so I think at the end of the day, you have to do what you love and what makes you happy. And for me, it's systems. I'm kind of a geek.
I think you're also building a business that is bringing you a warm conversation, right? Whereas door knocking, don't get me wrong, I think every lead generation platform works, but you do have to have a really thick skin if you're going to go out door knocking, because no one is sitting at home saying, gee, I really hope a real estate agent knocks on my door today.
Totally.
Right?
Most signs are to make us leave, right?
Yes.
And in this case...
Or dogs, right?
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's huge.
I did want to ask you, though, it costs money to run stuff like this. What's your monthly budget on these type of systems?
Great question. So, in the beginning, I'm the type of person that just throws things on the wall and see what sticks, right? So in the beginning, budget got kind of crazy, but at this point, we've really controlled it, and we spend about $5,000 a month on marketing, so lead generation, and then for all the infrastructure build out, we're spending about $2,500 a month. That includes the virtual assistants out in overseas. It includes all of the accounts that we have to have within the CRM, plus all the third-party integrations, and a bunch of Zaps. Because we're getting really into here. A bunch of Zapier applications. So we're making certain companies talk to each other that don't traditionally talk. So certain parties that make them talk to each other that they don't traditionally talk to each other. So that's really expensive, but it's really worth it because, like you said, you can create a warm conversation with somebody, and I have a lot of times it happens where I pick up the phone and they know me. I call them and they know who's calling them. They're like, Sergio Angulo, yeah, how are you? And it's like, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like,
you text me 20 minutes.
Exactly. Or even better, a couple weeks ago, we closed on a client out in. Let me step back. A client called me, and they were in Mexico, and they said, we're pre-qualified, Sergio. We just fired our agent. She's not working for us. We want to work with you. And I said, awesome, where did you find me? They had followed me on Instagram for 2 years. They came into our CRM. We called them a bunch of times, those 52 touches. They never made contact. We cut them off. And then somehow they found us on our emails. She followed me on Instagram, calls me while she's in Mexico, says she wants to work with me. She's going to get back in 2 weeks. I asked her what cities, and she tells me Hesperia. Okay? And I'm like, awesome, let's do it. Nothing wrong with Hesperia, right? But we're going to be driving a lot. So I say, okay, perfect, let's do it. I'll send you some properties. So my team starts sending her properties. By the way, we don't do any like automated listing campaigns where we just send them automated listings. Everything is individual and text. So we get their criteria, we text them properly, more personalized, right? So we're not sending them, like listings that don't match that criteria. And so we start sending them properties. I have a scheduler that just schedules all my appointments. They scheduled everything out for me, but that day I couldn't go out and show her the properties. Something came up with my family. So we strategized really quickly. I tried looking for an agent out there that could help me out. Couldn't find anybody. So we found this company called Shawami. Yeah. So Shawami, and we scheduled the appointments. Shout out to Chris Benjamin. He told me all about it.
Great tool to have, guys.
Great tool to have. We scheduled the appointments with Shawami. We paid $25 per door for an agent to open up the property. Submitted 2 offers. We got her into escrow. I met her at the home inspection. Met her twice. And
virtual
escrow.
Baby.
So that's the power of systems and what you can do. You could really scale, and I think that's going to change the business big time. I mean, things like my AI bot having today. We jumped in on a client call. The AI had a conversation, like 40 text messages back and forth with a client, and so I think that's really going to change the whole scope of the business.
They're like, oh, Sergio is so responsive.
Yeah, super responsive. Oh, actually, what's amazing is it's not saying it's Sergio, it's saying it's Sergio's assistant, right? It's Adam. It's Adam. So then they see you as like, oh, Sergio's built out, has a huge team. When it's really, I have only me and like a couple other people outside of the country,
So tell us a little bit about that, right? So you have Sergio, who is Rainmaker on team. Then you said you have a VA in Venezuela. A VA in Argentina.
Yep.
And you have Adam, who's an AI bot.
AI bot, yep.
What's the rest of your team look like, or is that your team?
Yeah, so that's a large portion of it. I also have a property management business that I run, so I have someone dedicated to that full time. Okay. And then I have Chris, which is my partner. He does all the marketing for us, right? So for the team, so he's building out campaigns, he's doing all the graphics, all the social media stuff. He's managing the staff as well. And then from there, we have that's it. That's everybody there. We don't have any agents on our team yet. We're still licensed agents, at least that are full time. We don't have any, but we have somebody that can maybe go open up a door here and there, but no one prospecting for us. And we're hiring, so if you're looking to...
Now, you touched on the marketing part. I follow you on Instagram, of course. We had an interview with the pineapple.
Yes, the pineapple.
The thing was upside. We found out after. We'll get into that. We're in San Diego. He's interviewing people with a pineapple.
And it had a mic. The pineapple had a mic on it.
The pineapple had a mic on it.
That's epic.
But then somebody's asking, why is he walking around with a pineapple? So look up a pineapple upside down. You don't know why they were questioning me. But I see the content. You're putting a lot of content out there. A lot of great videos I see you putting, which is amazing, which you find that to be of importance for your business. What kind of returns are you seeing from a lot of the online marketing you're doing, and which are some of the most effective videos that you've put out there that have generated you the most amount of leads or business?
Okay, so I think it's really important to understand that there's 2 types of online leads, right? Mm-hmm. So you have paid leads, right? So you're paying to get a phone number and a name, right? And then on the other hand, you have marketing that so the marketing that you're doing on organic or you're maybe boosting your posts, right, or doing things like that, right? So it's not, you're not actually getting a lead. And so that type of marketing is it's hard to quantify because you're really not getting an immediate return. Yeah. But I will say that the when it comes to that type of content, what I've noticed is more looking at it more of like a nurture, like a funnel almost, right?
That's
so like
right.
going back to that client, they didn't answer all those times, but then they found us on Instagram, they're following us on Instagram, and we're nurturing them there. So every bit of content that we put out, we're looking like the professional in the field, right? In the industry. So I would say that's the way I look at it. I think to answer your question, the bit of content that's the most successful, I think clients really like when I give keys to yeah. So it leads like that.
Envisioning
Yeah.
themselves there.
Yeah, and it's like you're bringing that emotional part into it. It's like it's a very emotional moment, right?
Yeah.
And so we're trying to capture that more and more, because I think those moments are the ones that people really want to see, from what I've noticed.
Beautiful. I'm glad you share that. And I'll give everybody a tip. I've been kind of in a lot of the Zooms or interviews with a lot of people that do online content, like Sergio here. And a lot of the property tours are putting like good background music, quick little shots that they're doing on their cell phones, and they're getting a lot of views,
Yes.
a lot of hits, and it's generating a lot of online marketing. So I would suggest for the ones that are not doing it to start going out there, do property tours, do content creation, handing out keys. Some of you guys that don't have any clients to give keys to, you gotta work harder. You gotta do more systems and lead generating.
Just a little golden nugget out there, you guys. I think another really important thing to recognize is that we have to start looking at ourselves like as a business, right?
Yes.
And I think a lot of agents, they get stuck in the trap of, like they think of themselves like a celebrity, right? And all the marketing is
Influencers.
or influencers, right? And all their marketing dollars and efforts are put around them and their face and their name. And I think it's important to start looking at marketing in terms of an unbranded approach, right? So we created a website about 9 months ago called homesforsaleindowney.com, right? It has our company name at the bottom, everything, so we're in compliance, but it doesn't have my face on it, right? And so I think going back to like videos on Instagram, like those unbranded videos that are focused only on the home tour. So it's not showing the agent at all. It's just showing the home tour. It's a way to generate a lead. Like, why do people go on Zillow, right? They're not going on Zillow to buy a house. They're going on Zillow to look at nice houses,
Dream
right? Dream building, right? And so it's looking at it like that, and then making the ask. Once you've given that value, then asking for the contact information, asking for that lead, right?
It's like an ATM, right? You can't make withdrawals without making deposits.
Yeah, there you go.
It's I'm gonna know a video for everybody to go watch is the SNL skit that they did on Zillow, if you haven't seen it, where they talk about people like viewing homes at night and how they're really excited. It's like the new fantasy, and then all of a sudden they submit their info and the agent calls them all crazy. It's like, hello.
1 a.m.
Right?
I'm that agent, okay?
I have to watch it.
And I think part of it is you have to meet the lead where they are in the process, right? And that's a really big part of having a lot of these systems and then being able to follow up long term, right? Yeah. So you've given us a lot on some of your systems. You talked a little bit about your content. If you haven't already done this on the side on your phone while you're watching this video, go look at some of Sergio's content, because I think on one aspect you have some of this unbranded content, and then on social, you also have a lot of videos where you're educating your clients, and you have a podcast.
Yeah, the podcast is great. It's been a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy the podcast. I've had the opportunity to interview some really great guests. It's called The Real Entrepreneurs. It's a great like time just sitting down, talking about business, talking about mindset. I'm able to speak for an hour and ask all these questions to this individual that's been in the business maybe 20 years or been in business in general 20, 30 years. And so that I think is priceless, right? For me, I have 2 coaches that I pay for, and so it really comes at a very cheap cost being able to have this podcast and ask all these questions and get all this great insight. And then
he gets to do what we're doing right now, but for his business, to grow his mindset with that one-on-one time with phenomenal people.
Exactly. And it's awesome. A great networking experience. And then on top of that, we're capturing all that information. We're using AI to split it all up, create multiple pieces of content.
You gotta give a little marketing here to our greater DAR. What about the DR do? Like, why are you part of the DR? What is your interest in being a member here with us?
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. I love the DR. So my aunt has been a member of the DR for 25 plus years.
What's that legacy?
Yeah. So she's said only good things about it. And when I got into the business, that was my first choice in terms of an association. I love that it's in Downey. I grew up in Downey. I think, not comparing it to other DR, other associations, but I think I love the people that are here, right?
Yeah.
They're everyone that's here always has a smile on their face. They're always friendly. They're client focused. It's not like that. And so I really, really appreciate that. I like the events that they do. I think they create a community. And I think that's what we need in real estate. Sometimes real estate seems like, or for some reason, it gets very, kind of just like closed off, right? Everybody starts doing their own thing. Mm-hmm. But I think having an association that brings people together, I think is great.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you being a member here with us, and also being a member that's coming here and sharing knowledge. And this is why we love the DR, because they support these type of videos and events. They want to truly give back to our agents, and you being one of them, we're excited to have you be part of this association, and we hope to have many more years to come.
So I'm going to note, I think we talked a lot about systems, about what your team looks like, what that trajectory looks like for your business as well. You kind of started the conversation talking a little bit about mindset, right? And I think that especially for whether you're a new agent that's just getting into the business, or you're an experienced agent that was impacted by some of the changes that have happened in the industry, I think understanding how to manage your mindset and control your emotions in this business is so important. Can you tell us a little bit about how do you do that? How do you protect your mindset? How do you kind of keep that high level thinking? How do you make time to really just focus on keeping your motivation high? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, it's
always one.
I would say it's a daily thing for me.
Yeah.
It's every day. It's even when things look like it's not looking good, it's remembering that today is so significant, but also so insignificant, right? At the same time, it's a really weird situation that we go through. And what I mean by that is yeah, today's important, right? Maybe we had a fail, right? We did, something didn't happen. We lost something, right? Maybe we didn't get a deal accepted, or we didn't get a listing, right? But in the bigger picture of things, right? That's just one day of your whole life, right?
Yeah.
And so I think as long as, for me, it's I just know as long as I'm sticking to the work that I need to do, right? And sticking to my calendar and being organized, and like my broker likes to say, being first one in, last one out every day, and just being all in, right? I think that's what keeps me going and what keeps my mindset. It's not just about saying, I'm going to stay positive, right? Because the reality is you could say that, but it's a whole different thing.
Especially in this business, it tests you.
Yeah, it tests you. Trust me.
It tests you every day.
I think controlling your environment, controlling your emotions.
Yes.
That's I'm Latino, so you know us Latinos, right? It's
you're the whitest Latino.
I am the white.
I think you're Kayla's cousin.
Yeah.
Where's your family from?
My dad's from Guadalajara.
You're Guadalajara? I'm from Guadalajara. You see this? I've been out in the sun too much.
Also from near Guadalajara.
So my dad's from Guadalajara, my mom's from Michoacan, and we just have that,
That's crazy, bro.
Hey, when was the last time you've been to Guadalajara?
I haven't been in years, but I've been to Mexico plenty of times. It's been a while.
So I think that is one of the biggest things, right? It's you have that we have that spice in us, right? And so it's controlling our emotions. I've had to work on that big time, so I've learned to say if whenever I'm high in terms of intensity, in terms of emotion, I try not to make any decisions, right, in that time.
Smart.
And I will put a block to anything, right? Am I going to decide to make a phone call? Am I going to decide? I will literally stop doing it, change when I'm completely pivot my calendar, move on to something else, and then come back to making those high decision calls.
It's powerful.
Yeah,
that's really powerful.
Well, on that note,
I started in property management too.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
And that was a lot of, we built out our custom Salesforce with Infusionsoft integration back then. And so when I started in the real estate industry, I was like, okay, what can we customize and how do we build this funnel and what does that look like? And
Are you still actively selling or are you just managing?
all my
what do you do?
business right now, so my personal business is all referral based, since I do management and then I refer out all my clients.
What do I do now? I refer my buyers to my agents. Mainly focus on listings.
For me, I'm like, to be able to do training and consulting and like back end business, it's just
It gets crazy overwhelming.
That's right, because you have 20,000 in your database, most of them that came in from online leads.
Yeah.
What's the conversion rate on transaction count per year?
So it depends, like, on the lead source. So, like, for example, Zillow leads are more expensive, right? We were at 8 a couple months ago. We cut it back to 5 because we're going to be restructuring the 3 into like another platform because Zillow is, they're really cherry picking, like big time.
What ends up happening is that every single one of the aggregators has figured out that the way they make money is not more agents, it's better agents. And so what they look is conversion, and that's why a lot of them have moved to a success fee oriented model where they're charging on the back end, right? Like maybe they have some type of upfront cost, and then their split will range anything from 28 to I think I've seen 40% at the max.
Oh yeah.
Agent's supposed to do an open house. Get to the open house. Somebody's living in the house. She calls me, Jose. Somebody's here in the property, and they claim that they own it. And I go, what? And I'm still on the phone with her. Is that Jose person? Tell him I'll see him in court. And I go, whoa. I own this place, it's my house, I inherited it, and I'll see you in court. Whatever. So what I came to find out, he went to small claims court the day before, right? Filed a small claim saying that I had kicked him out of the house and his belongings down $300. All he wants is to have court documents so he can shoo away the cops with well dressed, nice car. In my house. I gain access because he opens the door like a dummy. Look at the document. I go, this is a small claim court document. You better get the hell out. I called the cops. They were actually on their way. The cops wouldn't have done anything had I not already gained entry to the property. Had he still been in the property, they would have sent me to court, and I would have had to have been fighting this guy for 6 months. I would have been living in my house for 6 months, rent free. While I'm dealing with all these headaches.
Gosh.
So, every time that I've deal with squatters, I push through the door and I just get in there and I sit down in the living room.
That's what it is.
Awesome. Well, I will say this. Things get serious at lunch. That was definitely enjoyable. We had some really good conversation there.
It was good food too.
So on a lighter note, we have a little bit more fun questions for you. This one's light and it's still a little bit deep. I always love to know, what is the next level of success look like for you?
Oh gosh. So the next level of success for me is definitely hitting $1 million in commission.
That's right.
That's number 1. And I would say number 2 is being able to do that with me being able to be in, X country for 3 months at a time, right? So not having to be physically here and still do the high volume in production. I think that's like the next level of success. I went to Japan for a week about a month ago and I fell in love, and one of my goals is to be able to just travel and go somewhere, live there, interact with the community for a couple months and still be doing high level production in real estate.
What's a fun fact about you that people don't really know about you looking at you? I mean, I didn't know you were Mexican.
That's funny.
This whole time I thought you were Marco Medella's cousin.
Marco Medella's, you're not Michael. I'm your cousin named Sergio, okay? No, a fun fact about me is that I guess I am, like, people think I'm like a people's person. Like, I like talking to people, I like doing the podcast and all this stuff, right? So I think a lot of people see me as like, oh, you like to be outgoing, but like, I really don't like talking to people. I don't like people actually that much. I literally just want to be
stuck into this industry.
I want to be home with my cat, and that's it. Like, I don't want to be
What's
out.
your cat's name?
Pickle.
Pickle. All right. No people, but yes, Pickle.
Yeah, Mr. Pickle.
I'm gonna watch what I say. I'm gonna be at home picking up on my pickle. Yeah, that does not sound good, bro. I think to change his name.
Me, that's really like, I just like to be home. You're
a homebody.
I'm a homebody. I don't like to be out and about all the time, and like, I'm a geek, so I like to be like learning new things. I don't really watch TV too much, and I just like to always be like, like looking into new stuff. And so that's I also have a pretty extensive antique camera collection that I have, like old cameras.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, about 100 of them. So.
Wow. What is your most embarrassing moment in real estate that didn't happen during lunch today?
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, there were some pretty embarrassing moments during our lunch today. But I would say most embarrassing moment. Oh gosh. It would probably have to be I'm showing a property and then it was vacant and I'm in the kitchen and then I turn around and then the dining room's right there and I just like boom hit my head on the chandelier that's in the dining room and it hurt super bad and I almost passed out and it was the first time meeting the client and I just looked like a complete fool. And then at the third property I did the same thing again. I hit the chandelier again in the dining room.
Now, knowing what you know now, right? What are things that you would have changed back when you first started in the industry?
That's a great question. I would have to probably say so choose your friends wisely. That's probably the biggest one. Choose your friends very wisely. You are a byproduct of the 5 people that are around you. The system has rules, and we follow those rules to the T. And so one of them is we book a free appointment outside of the office. Everybody gets one appointment. Everybody. They don't have to be pre-qualified. They don't have to be talking to me nicely. They don't have to, they could be the meanest person ever. They're going to get an appointment no matter what, because my goal is just to get in front of people, right?
Love that. And speed. I want to share something on that because I think it's so important, right? I think there's an NAR stat that says something along the lines of 70% it's over 70% of people will work with the first agent that they meet with. And so that one rule, game changer. Yeah. Right? That's huge. You get to make too. Absolutely.
Right. You gotta listen, I know you're not a people person, but you have to learn how to deal with people. You gotta get your people skills up to make these type of connections. You gotta be a real person. You gotta be somebody that the client feels comfortable working with, that they feel comfortable you being the most knowledgeable agent. So make sure that you are putting people focus first, because it's gonna be important. Had he not made that connection, she probably would have moved on with another agent. And he did it because he is a people person. Even though he just wants to be a home with us.
And a pickle person.
Now, Sergio, as much as we want to keep you here forever, because I think it's been a great conversation, and I know we can take this for hours. I know you got things to do. I know you got systems to run. What are some last final thoughts that you want to leave our members with? What are some key pieces of advice that you want to really share with them that's going to help make an impact in their business or just in life in general?
For new members.
For new members.
For new members, I would say the number one bit of advice is don't give up. Do not give up. Don't give up on your goals. Don't give up on your dreams. You can do it, right? And whenever you feel like I can't do it, go find something that motivates you. If it's going to a conference, talking to a top producer, I go on the MLS and look at all the closed sales, and I'm like, if all these people are closing deals, I can close deals as well. So I think just don't give up. That's the number one thing, and lean into your systems and your team, your brokerage, and your association, the DOR, to help you with some of those challenges.
Powerful.
Thank you, Sergio. Anything you want to add?
Where can they find you? How can they get in contact?
Yeah, so you could follow me on Instagram at Sergio Angulo Homes. Feel free to text me, call me 323-430-3837. We'll jump on the call.
No problem, guys. Members, continue to tune in. Share this video. Give it to your peers. There's a lot of great information.
Click the like button below.
Yes.
Make sure that you're sharing it out, and subscribe on the YouTube channel.
And we look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.
Dude, thank you.
Bye everyone.